I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jesse.
We're Cannabis School. Having cannabis-infused conversations
With everyday people,
cannabis companies,
celebrities,
and your mom.
welcome
To the sesh.
All right, welcome back to the sesh. And today we are going to be talking about something that is extremely passionate for each of us. We had our struggles with it. We've known a lot of people around us having struggles with it. But the one thing that was common is that during this struggle, a lot of people don't want to talk about it. They just want to struggle.
I think a lot of people feel like when they're in that, they feel alone.
Totally.
And so you don't feel like anyone else could understand your struggle.
Right. And it's like when I was talking to you just a few days ago. I was really high, by the way. So if I went on too long...
Yeah, we're never high when we talk to each other. So
I think that's all the time we talk to each other. There's some times when I'm not.
That's true. There's times that I don't have much cannabis in my system.
Yeah, I don't know what those times are. That's when he's sleeping. That's the longest period he goes without smoking.
Before
is
10
when he sleeps.
a.m. is probably the least amount of cannabis in my system. And then sometimes between like maybe noon and 2, I just have like workflows of things when I'm not quite as in my, hey, I'm going to consume stuff.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. Oh, and we're going to be talking about our passion for mental health. And
Mental health in general.
Yeah, mental health in general. We're looking at it from two different aspects, which are both extremely healthy. I think it's something that we need to do. And the one thing that Brandon and I have that many other people don't have is that he's next to my wife, he is the closest friend I've ever had. And we have been able to talk about everything. And, when we struggle, we're open enough to tell each other, like that same old bullshit that we always do with people when they go, hey, how you doing? And you're not doing well. And you go, I'm doing great.
I'm fine. Things are good.
Started your business. It's not making fucking anything. And people are like, how's it going? Like, fuck, it's great, man.
I'm working 16-hour days. Yeah. I'm not sleeping. I'm
making no money.
Like crazy.
But,
we're eating ramen.
Got to hustle. Got to get that hustle culture. Got to 10X everything. It was just...
Keep grinding.
Yeah, but you don't let people know. And that's the funny thing is that a lot of people will be like, well, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
If you talk about your problems, then it's just going to get worse. I actually heard about this one guy. I don't know his name right off the top of my head, but he's like in like the self-help world, and he's like, well, don't talk about it because then they're real. Like, wait, whoa. So we avoid it?
So you just don't talk about it because your problems aren't real if you don't talk about it? I don't think that really avoidance isn't a healthy way at all.
Well, it's exactly that.
They just come back to bite you in the ass if you avoid them.
Well, it builds up.
Yeah, that's not a healthy way to manage it.
Like I went through, I've gone through anxiety only later on in my life. I was 31 or 32.
You don't think you had anxiety when you were young?
If I did, I don't remember. I mean, people have told me like, yeah, I used to have panic attacks when I was a kid. Never had a panic attack as
Really?
a kid. Never had a panic attack when I was in the military. It just flowed because there was always so much going on. And I think that's where I probably experienced traumatic things as a child. But I consider myself lucky on that side because I got to be a child. I was a kid. Like, I played all the time.
Yeah.
Like, the saddest day, when I'm looking back, not at the time, but I was like 12 or 13, and I'm like giving all my Ninja Turtles to my little brother. I don't need these things anymore. It's fucking children's stuff. And I gave it to him, and then like 2 weeks later, this fucking psycho cut off all the heads, and
man,
like he just fucked them all up. And
That's terrible.
And I was like, "Yo, they're yours, man." But now it's just like, I like that part, and I think that part of us trying to always look and be an adult. I don't fully understand what that means. If I've got to be an adult all the time, it's the same people within Christian faiths or any other faith that are like, no, 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 it's all work, it's all servitude. You can't have fun at any time. But the way that I believe in that, no way. They're all about fun too. That's why I love this NDE book I read, because it was like this lady was like, it was a cool story. Like, regardless of whatever it was her reality, and she died. But her and God, or Jesus, yeah, it was Jesus, they were body surfing on the ocean. It was like this clear water, but she could feel it. And Jesus was laughing, saying, this is awesome. Like, if you think that there's something out there that's all about business and all about fun, look at a kid. What are they going to do? And that's why, like, the purity of a young child that has had no traumatic events happen to them, they live a pretty good life. They're pretty well adjusted. They get along with any kid, regardless of who they are. They'll talk to any person.
Because they love and accept everyone.
Right.
They find joy and beauty in the simplest in everything.
Right.
And when you stop killing that, and I don't know, I feel there are certain strains that allow me to do that, and then microdoses of psilocybin.
Yeah.
That allow me to feel like a kid again, where I'm truly in awe about everything.
Yeah.
Oh, look at these trees, look at this rock, look at this. Like, everything is so incredible, everything is so beautiful, and I am just so happy to be in that moment.
Yeah.
That's it. And, it's this, like, mental health of, I don't know, I never thought about mental health growing up. I never thought about being depressed or being anxious or sitting in, like, all of these states. But yet, looking back and reflecting on my life, there was 100% moments and times of depression and anxiety. And, like, it very much was part of my life. But mental health was something that was never talked about. So it was never anything of like, hey, are you actually okay?
Well, and I think that the other side, too, is that our parents never gave us that example.
Well, because I don't think they even knew. So none of them had any, because their generation was mental health doesn't exist. Like, anxiety, depression sounds like made up things.
Right.
That's just you being a pansy to find a way to get out of something.
Or you just need to get tougher. It's like, Juan, we had on the sesh. When Juan was talking about his upbringing, that was my upbringing. And it was funny. Yeah, and I was talking to my dad about it yesterday. And I was like, hey, did you notice that Mexican culture does this? And he goes, yeah. Yeah, it's just how you're raised. He's like, everybody made fun of you. And you just got over it. Because it's, in one way, I like it because it teaches you to be resilient no matter what people say to you. But at the same time, it kind of robs you of being able to be a little bit more sensitive. So I think there's a mix of it you can have.
I think, and this might suck to say, but maybe it's in a way to try and protect their kids.
Oh, totally.
Especially up here, like you said, you guys, you experienced a ton of racism and, like, hatred for stupid stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't think about it then, though, because it was...
But if as a parent, you're like, I know my kids are going to experience this.
Well, I think as a parent, I think it was harder for my parents to hear that. My dad avoided it. He just ignored it and just said, well, go fight him. I pay all this money for you to be able to learn how to fight. Go fight. Like, that was what I was told. So I would.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he did say that because I am super self-assured no matter where I go. I'm not afraid of anybody. And, even if I know the odds are against me, I'm going to be like, well, fuck it, I got nowhere to go. I mean, I'm not dumb. I'm not going to sit there and just stand and fight everybody.
Yeah.
But if shit goes down, I'm down. I have no problem. Let's throw down. But I don't know, now being older, I just think it's hard that we can't talk about that. And I've recently made a lot of changes. But before we go in, changes. But before we go into that, one of the things that we have been doing on the side is that we worked really hard to be able to bring this podcast to where it is now and where it will continue to go. We can't ever stop it. I mean, unless they just say, no more new strains.
I've known listens, and it's like, all right, well.
If everybody stopped listening, like even if a good portion of them dropped off, we would still have a lot of people listening to
Oh
this.
yeah.
And so I just think of it like, well, whatever, right? But we wanted to do something more. We both have been playing around with ideas, and Brandon had a great idea, and he got it going. But you know what? He was in a tough time,
Oh.
right?
So over the last few years, even since before starting the show, there's been a lot of shit like divorce. I tried to start a business that, it felt like it was maybe getting to a place that was going to be good. And then my ex-wife is like, "Hey, I need more money from you. You don't support the kids enough, and so either you give up your rights or you pay me more money." I was like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to grow a business. I'm not doing, Um, so I went and got a job and worked on that. My kids were out of the state, like I hardly ever saw them, and it was just like a really tough time. Having my kids moved out of the state was probably one of the hardest things that's affected my mental health.
Yeah.
Um, and then, like you were saying, I was trying to start another thing. Had a podcast that I had started, and it was going to be called Happier Headspace. Um, and I had recorded like the intro, a couple episodes, and was thinking about launching it. And then I fought custody for my kids, and I lost. And I fought custody because there was issues going on with my kid's stepdad at the time, and their mom was not doing anything, not listening, and so I ended up trying to fight custody for it, and I ended up losing. And because of the court timing and everything, I ended up losing my job because I had to take off a little bit of time to meet with the attorneys and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just everything happened and snowballed all at the same time. And when court happened and I lost custody, I don't think I've ever felt like such failure. As a father, as a human, I thought there was no way that I could do that show, that I could sit down and I could record that, or I could talk from a space of any mental health clarity, or even felt that I was okay to speak on that. And I just let it sit, and life just kept feeling like it was kicking me in the balls. And I just, I finally was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do this show. Cannabis School's enough. The sesh is enough. Like, that's going to be enough already. I don't think I can take on doing that. And then March or April of this year, my dad decides to tell everyone in the family that he's getting a surgery that he might not survive from, and that has incredibly high risk, and his surgery was in 30 days. So it felt like I was given 30 days with my dad. And I went and spent as much time as I could with him, just to spend time with him. And through that time, he kept talking about how he wasn't afraid to die. He wasn't, nervous to die. He didn't have anything around that, but he kept having this stress and anxiety around everything that he was going to leave behind. Problems that honestly, like when you think about it, were not important. Things that really don't matter. And when you're gone, it doesn't matter at all. But to him, it was something that he was hanging on to, and it was affecting him.
Yeah.
In his last 30 days of time. And his surgery came, it fucking went fantastic, and He's still here, and I am beyond grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the time that I spent. Because I think a lot of us think about, I'll spend time next week.
Yeah.
I'll spend time next month. You know, it's fine. And he was like, well, I almost didn't tell the family at all about this issue, about the surgery. And I was like, okay, but what happens if you died? Like, we all get so caught up in life. Hey, I've got kids, I've got soccer games, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. I'll go visit Dad next week. I'll call him next week. I'll visit him tomorrow. Like, it's always, well, I'll push it off. I'll do this. But if you knew that you only had that time, would it be different? Would you go, no, I'm going to spend that time now because maybe next week isn't there. Maybe next month isn't there. And that was this realization of like, oh shit, how am I spending my time?
Yeah.
How am I investing my time and looking at it and realizing that it doesn't matter because through this show, we've had all sorts of people that we've met.
Oh, yeah.
And I've realized that it doesn't matter the amount of money you make, what demographic you're in, where you are from, what kind of clothes you wear, how you style your hair. At the end of the day, we all have like feelings of self-doubt and self-worth and days that we struggle with anxiety or depression and, you know, all of these things, feeling of burnout, and everyone struggles with that. It's not just me. It's not just you. It's not like just my family. It's all of these people, so many people that I care about. And so that's what I realized, that the show isn't for me. Happier Headspace wasn't for me. It was for all the people like me.
Yeah.
Who maybe are having the same struggles, or maybe they're having a lot fucking worse struggles. Maybe their struggles are just kicking them in the dirt and they feel like they can't get up. Because sometimes that happens and it fucking sucks. You've been there.
Oh, yeah.
I've been there. And I hate the people that I hate seeing the people I love hurt like that.
Yeah.
Because it just is like, for me, I want to take that away. I'm like, how can I make that stop? How can I make you feel better? How can I like help you? And sometimes it feels like there's nothing you can do. And sometimes there isn't anything you can do.
Yeah, it's a it's their struggle. It's not greater or lesser than. I hear that a lot where people comparison going, well, all I've got is, I lost my job and, my marriage isn't going as well anymore, but this other guy got cancer and he's got like stage 3 and they're not, the diagnosis. So so you compare over there this, keeping up with the Joneses, even if how sick they are. Well, they're way sicker than me, so I'm not that important. But you got to know that your struggles are important, no matter how small or how great. They're your struggle and whatever you're dealing with. Whether it's some rich guy who has been rich his entire adult life and has it all taken away from him.
Yeah.
And, he's struggling with, oh, man, I mean, I can't even afford my, my Beamer payments. And you're just like,
yeah.
Fuck you, dude, because I got real problems. But you know what? You have to be more compassionate at that time and look at him going, but it's your problem. And that's what's making you feel shitty. It's not, it doesn't matter if it's material or psychological or emotional or some type of trauma. It's all relevant. It's all relevant because if you continue to think that your problem's not bigger than others, like Brandon, I've known you throughout this entire struggle you've had. I knew you before when you were married, and how, I mean, she never watches this show, so I can say things that
she actually has.
Well,
funny enough, yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. That's hilarious. While you guys were married, it was exhausting being around her because she talks so fast and so much, and she was an expert at everything, and she
is
knew
always right.
Always right, and it's just like, oh, it's exhausting. Oh, I used to think, the thing is just like it was hard because I knew what you were going through. I knew that it was a struggle then when you got divorced, when you went to jail, and then all the
Yeah.
shit that just kept happening over and over and over when you started your business and you had a bunch of partners who weren't really being able to pick up the slack because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And
No.
then, you know, having somebody steal a credit card and buy a bunch of shit from your business, put the nail in the coffin in it.
Yeah.
And good lesson,
That
right? In retrospect. But it snowballed. And I know what you mean. Like I watched this and you were always like, oh, it's all right, things will be out there. And that's the problem that we have is that we tend to bottle it up because we don't want to share, not because we see it as weak, but we just don't know how they're going to react, and
it's
you don't
hard
you
to
don't feel comfortable.
it's hard, like, people talk about it sometimes, or I've seen it and they're like, it's okay to not be okay. But sometimes it's hard to admit that you're not okay.
Well, and a lot of that has to go with knowing yourself, and that's why for years now I've been involved in anything that was people science related because I thought it'd make me a better writer, and it was awesome. I learned a lot. Learned a lot about communication, human psychology when it comes to consumerism, and relationships. Because I was like, yeah, why not? I'll learn that. Over time, I became really good at being able to make almost instant friendships anywhere I went. No matter what business meeting I was making a friend. And ultimately, like how I started to see progression in my professional life, like going from one job to the next and always getting like these raises from there. And I usually go up about 20 grand every single time they were like, hey, why don't you come work for us? And, what do you want? And I would tell them, and they were like, okay, cool. Like after a while of doing that, I was like, sweet, but I hated doing sales because I hated selling somebody's fucking widget
Yeah.
or their bunch of broken promises that are never going to be fulfilled. And but I love the connection part, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that for me is that I just learned all these positivity type motivational stuff that's fleeting. It never really stays with me. It's good for a second, but it's got the equivalent of like a Red Bull. You drink it, you feel it, but then you crash. And you're like, ugh, I'm not going to do that again. And you do it again because it's addicting. Because you're addicted to the positivity of others. Like you're going to get it through osmosis. Just because we're in the same room, we're not going to get a
Yeah.
contact time. It's not like hotboxing with us because you're going to leave fucking lit. But it it doesn't work that
It
way.
doesn't rub off
Positivity,
like
you
that.
cannot force positivity. And throughout my going through all of this, I came into just a random occurrence. And a friend of mine said he can do that. And she makes the introduction, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've done that kind of. And they wanted to bring me in for sales training. And what I ended up doing is turning into a performance coach in there. I helped increase productivity, but it was by teaching them about how to communicate with other people in a form of being able to take control of the conversation in a way that's going to help them feel like they're heard. And at the same time, you learn more about them, which helps you to create a deeper connection.
And you've created something more out of that now too.
Yeah. Now I am fully into coaching. I'm getting going to be finishing my certification in another coaching so I can take on couples and individuals for other things other than the business world. I'm a certified 12 Shapes instructor. I'm finishing up my master practitioner on my
Neuro-linguistic
NLP.
programming.
Yeah.
Yep.
And met this woman named Kim Giles at a business thing. And I didn't even want to go to it. And that was the funny thing because she was the same way. She says, I don't want to go there. She goes, but I'm probably going to be the next person that I'm going to do a podcast with. So I have to go. And that was the one where McLean
That's
was
funny.
at. It was the
Really?
day that McLean was there. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
And we started talking. And it was just awesome. And she's like, well, you should take this 12 Shapes quiz. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. And I waited for a while. And she's like, yeah, I want to do a podcast, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Like,
Everyone does.
thinking
Yep.
about producing it. But then as I started to work, she goes, well, just take it and you're going to learn a little bit more about it. But I really think you and I should do it. And I'm like, okay. So we started putting it together, and I went through her program to learn about it so I could be an expert, because I was like, I'll just be a co-host. But it ended up turning out to be something completely different that transformed my life, where I don't get angry, like, at all anymore. Like, that's a weird thing to say. Oh, you don't
That
get
is a weird
pissed.
thing.
You don't get pissed about things? I get irritated, but then I'm able to pull myself from that, going, like last night, my son, I told him, get your snack and then get to bed, because he'll stay up all night. And I'm just like, get to bed, because he'll sleep all fucking day.
Yeah.
He's 14, and I'm like, dude, do this. Usually I lose my shit on him if I still see him up. And it was 12 o'clock, and I was fixing to go to bed. I was done reading, and I was very elevated. Come out, he's in the kitchen. Normally I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing out here? But I immediately was able to pull myself back, going, hey, he's up because he can't sleep. You need to find out why that's there before you start losing your shit. I'm like, hey, man, are you doing okay? And he's like, I've got this pain on my foot and it won't go away. And I'm like, okay. So instead of me jumping to conclusions like I normally would, because I'm always like, things have to be a certain way. And this 12 Shapes, what it did is it told my personality based on the answers that I gave it. And the answers are backed up through a science called axiology that is like more of a mathematical algorithm that you can put into, like, it's a program. And she built this program over almost 30 years. And she's a very well-known relationship coach. And she was awesome. What she's created has transformed who I am. And it's helping me to improve in areas where I've needed the most. And that's connection with others. Because I would come on with this, I'm a great friend to meet at a bar or at a network function, because I'm everybody's friend. But I don't got to see those people after. And I don't need to be with them day after day. And I used to say, like, the people closest to you will piss you off the fastest. In a way. But the other part is just like, man, I say I know all this stuff about connection, and I'm great at it, but I didn't practice it. I didn't really put it into it. And it wasn't until working with Kim that I realized that I was being a fucking faker. I was faking my emotions, even though I would tell people I mean, you ask anybody in the business. I mean, you've met a lot of my friends in the business world, and all of them are just like, yeah, he's awesome. Jesse's great.
Yeah.
He's super funny. He's always making us laugh. He's so positive. Like, I wish I could be as positive as him. Like, I've heard those things, and I'm just like, you have no clue.
But they don't know the real Jesse. They don't know behind the doors. They don't know the struggles that you go through.
And now, dude, I am like very humble about anything, and that's including my problems.
Well, because you've had quite the journey too over the last quite a few years in mental health.
Yeah. I mean, mainly going to be an entrepreneur was probably by far that's where all my problems came from. And a reason why I wasn't ready for it, because I wasn't prepared for it. And the preparation for being an entrepreneur isn't getting an MBA.
No.
What it is being able to know who you are, knowing your limitations as not a limitation, but that's a way to you connect with other people. You take like Strength Finders, Myers-Briggs, Color Code, all that other shit, and then you take, or the DISC model, and this system, man, it was so revealing. It told, like, here's the things that you're great at. Here's what you're not really great at. But this is another shape that's really great at that thing that you're not great at. And you're a good match. My wife's a diamond. I'm an octagon. You're a circle.
Yeah.
And I am all over the place. If you read the octagon, it's all over the place. But I'm doing exactly what an octagon would do. Everything. Including down to my actions, including why I'm so overprotective. Like, these things came to realization. I told you about I went camping. It was great.
Yeah.
No fights.
You said it was like the best experience camping you've had.
For my kids, like, dude, my son, 14-year-old, that it's my problem that I learned. And because of all of that, it's now doing much better. My relationships are better. My interactions with other people are better. I think differently when I'm out. I think before I react fast.
Yeah.
So I can be able to respond all from this one. And that launched this podcast that I'm doing with Kim called Getting Along with Other Humans. And it's in the how-to, so we can go how to get along with other humans.
Yeah. But that probably won't be out yet.
It'll be out next month.
Do you know when yet? Do you have a
It'll be
release?
at the 1st of August. I don't know what the date. Do you have a release date?
No, Happier Headspace, I don't. The first intro, like, holding spot, my thumbnail's out, so it's on every platform, but I don't have it. I've got the first 6 episodes recorded. I just recorded another one last night. Next week, I've got a bunch of, like, preliminaries and probably episodes that'll align. So I will have probably 12 to 15 episodes.
That's awesome, because now you can have, like, several months
Yeah.
and now you can be like, okay, cool. It doesn't have to kill me to get these out. But here's the thing, dude. It's just like us. Like, we have to do a recording every week.
Yeah, just because of where we're at right now.
But it's okay, though. Like, it's not like we have to.
It's the time that we get together, though.
With that, but also, like, it's now become a part of my life. So I have to do that.
Yeah.
I have to do it. And that's been really good for those who are thinking about starting a podcast. When you're in your good spot is when it's just something you do. I wake up in the morning, I take a shit, go out, have a smoke, eat something, watch TV. Like, maybe that's your routine, right?
Damn.
If that's your routine, bravo, very cool.
I guess. I don't
know, man. Maybe
bored.
but that's the way they do it. They just like to keep in a relaxed state, right? But whatever it may be, like, it's hard to be onto that to get to that point where you want to keep going. And throughout our struggles, you want to really be able to make that focus on being able to get in touch with that, like what makes us happy, and talking about it really helps by getting down that path of being able to be happy with everything, to create a happier headspace, because you have to create it.
Yeah,
just as much as it comes in
on its own.
No, and that's why I become passionate about coaching, is that I can teach other people, and I already did an experiment with it, and it worked out great. And these people were connecting with their loved ones and being able to bury the hatchet with other things. And I was just trying to get them better at business. But what I realized is I was able to tap into that. And so I'm taking all that knowledge that I've had for years and then pairing up with one of the best relationship coaches in the world. And this is what we're creating this. So you have a resource to be able to help you out. So it's going to be it's awesome. I'm glad we're both going down this mental health space, not because it's trendy or any other shit, right? Like, we don't got ice baths.
I have thought about trying it, though. I don't have one, though.
I have no desire.
Really?
Nah.
I thought it would be good just because there's stuff for, like, healing and that, and I wondered if that would impact my back at all, but I've never tried it, so I have no idea.
I've seen different things and reflecting on it. I mean, somebody out there is like, no, you got your information wrong. But they've looked at it, and the brown fat or whatever. I don't know. That's just getting too meta for me. What's going to be the immediate result they have in that? And literally what it's doing is it's forcing endorphins into your body because you're at such cold waters that it's thinking you're going to die of hypothermia. So you're getting hits of just oxytocin and serotonin, everything to make you feel alive.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool if people want to do that, but the people that I think about that do that are Navy SEALs that are about to go swim in cold-ass fucking water and take a boat down with, like, 12 dudes. Like,
you're just not ready to train for Navy SEALs?
Yeah, I don't want to fucking do that. I mean, it's not even that, right? It's getting into cold water on purpose. And
that part doesn't sound appealing.
No.
It's just I've been curious to see.
You know what? Float spa, I could do that.
Oh, I love the
I
float
would
spa.
own a float
Yeah.
spa. If I had the ability to own a float spa, I would own that motherfucker.
Yeah, I've looked at that before. I was like, "Oh, how much is it?" And it was like 12 grand. And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
okay, where would I put it? Not in this house. I don't know."
Yeah, well, take over a room. Go, this is the float
This
spa.
is the float spa. But then I'm like, can it structurally support that much? Like in a would maybe, or would it have to be downstairs? Could it fit downstairs? Like there's just
Yeah,
all of
dude.
these things. I'm
Got to
like,
get
all
a
right.
bigger house just for that.
Yeah,
You got to
right.
add on. But, it's those things. Like, the reason why I became so passionate is that every single one of us is looking for some type of relief or an answer to our problems. We just want a trigger. We want a switch or something like that.
Yeah.
I want a pill, and sometimes pills work, man. I'm not against that, but
And that they help in the moment to address like a symptom. I don't think they ever actually fix the issue.
no, they don't fix. They help. It just like I said,
But
it
it
is
can
a
be
tool.
a tool.
It's
Yeah.
a tool,
But
and
yeah.
it has to have an expiration date. I truly believe that. And
Because
sometimes it's
you have
harder.
to use that tool to help you get to an okay enough state that you can do all the other work you actually need to do.
Well, but you got to think about too, like with those who have PTSD, like severe PTSD from like war veterans, those guys,
Yeah, it takes some
sometimes
time to get them to a state that they could do
and
the
they
work.
might not even get there because the brain has been so damaged.
Oh yeah,
The psyche has been so damaged that it's just like
but
they may have to
sometimes
take
they
it for the rest
find
of
it
their
through
life.
psilocybin. Sometimes they find
Yeah,
it through
sometimes.
MDMA. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's
No, I
like-
truly believe it. I mean, I'm all for psychedelics and helping those people out.
it's just
And
not every single one it does, and maybe it's
No.
again, maybe it's what type of therapeutic setting are they doing? Is it an actual, like, is it a doctor? Is it a safe space, like, setting? Or is it, like, very clinical and prescribed and they don't feel safe? Or, there's so much I think that might go into that, but I'm not there for every experience. I have no idea to see.
Right.
But it is cool to see people who can get out of those really tough struggles, those really hard situations, whether it's through a tool like medication or meditation or, going out on walks or exercise.
Well, those things are all really important, and they should be going along anyways. Like we should be having a well balanced diet, right?
Oh,
A
yeah.
good healthy diet to be able to help, because that helps with the brain too, right? But the other part that I was going into is that the reason why we usually have these limitations and problems that we have with ourselves is because we don't really know ourselves and we don't accept who we are. We will avoid those parts, and instead of looking at it as a negative thing, because that's usually what people do, it's now looking at it going, okay, cool, well, who do I pair with? Because that I don't want to put myself in the life coaching bubble, because I kind of feel life coaching is kind of the Tony Robbins stuff. And I'm not to say that Tony Robbins hasn't helped millions of people. He probably has. But at the same time, though, I'm not going to coach you on how to get over your life, more on the side of being able to get to know who you are and what makes a difference. I have tried everything. I literally have tried everything to start changing who this anxious, angry person. And I'm doing it now. And it's because I know who I am. I don't need to get to know other people on that side before I know
No.
myself. And that I'm a connection and relationship coach.
Well, it would make more sense to connect with yourself on that personal level to truly understand yourself before you're trying to understand another human on that level.
But it's so much more about this is how you're able to produce something for others. This is how you're able to show others, especially in the hustle culture within the business world. Like, you got to be up 12 hours a day working on your thing, and fuck vacations, fuck holidays, fuck taking a weekend, because if you take a weekend, you're not going to make the money you want, and it's all for naught. It doesn't really impact you. So I think now what both of us are doing is really trying to make sure that people know that it's okay to have it's like happier headspace. To me, it just seems that, and I haven't been on yet, and I know we're going to do that, but I'm really excited to see it, because I wonder if it's just holding space to have a happier headspace, because talking about it, like some of these people that you've talked about that you've been able to meet with, like it makes
Like Bennett, Bennett has a he has a very, very interesting perspective, and I've loved to see his journey over the last few years. When we met him, he was twice the size, and he was working on all this stuff now, and he didn't have the same confidence and surety, and like, just he seems like he is in such a better space right now.
Yeah, and he's really humble too.
I love that for him. I love to see where he is at, because right now he's got his own struggles.
Oh yeah.
And that's just it. It doesn't matter how much money you make, how old you are. We all have these struggles. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited for your show. I'm excited to check it out and see where that one goes. And Happier Headspace, I am excited to see.
Yeah, me too.
What that becomes. So,
well, the cool thing is it's just opening up these conversations, and because we're so open about our cannabis use and our plant medicine use, we have given a kind of a platform for people to be open and honest about their cannabis consumption and not be ashamed of it and be proud of it. And you should be proud of it, because you're trying to make yourself feel happier, right? And sometimes that's what we need. And other ways, we're trying to get rid of pain, but it's all trying to be happy without pain. So it's pretty awesome. And now it's just like nothing is off limits.
So I'm going to push you to get your thumbnail.
Got it.
And get it uploaded to at least Spotify or Apple in the next 2 weeks before this launches, so I can have a link for our show notes.
Okay.
Because we'll have the links down below.
Oh,
so you guys can go check it out, follow along, and tune in there.
Also, we'll have links to the 12 Shapes quiz. Take it.
Oh, yeah.
See what shape you are. And if you have any questions on it, DM us, and I'll send you like a full PDF there. No strings or anything like that. Look, literally, I've shared it with so many people. It's just awesome.
Get to know yourself better.
Yeah, pretty cool.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We love you guys.
Take care.